Hello and welcome to One on One. I am Maureen Menongwezigwe. My guest today is Bridget Okonofua. She's the Managing Director of Unique Ventures Limited. She's an agribusiness consultant, a trainer, a coach, and a mentor. Welcome to One on One, Bridget.
Thank you, Maureen. Thank
Will
you.
I be right to call you a farmer?
Oh, of course.
You know, you remind me of my mother. She used to be a farmer. She's a very strong woman. Although during her time, we didn't have what we have today, which is the mechanized farming, and which I think forms my first question to you. What kind of a farmer are you, and how do you go about it?
Okay. Thank you very much, Maureen. Yes, I often hear people ask me that question. What kind of a farmer are you? They expect me to tell them, I have cassava farm, I'm farming, you know, like I have a bush that I've prepared and that I'm going to the farm to till the ground and grow some things and all that. But what people do not understand is that the agricultural space is very wide. It's a wide space. Mm-hmm. And they have so many spaces in the agricultural space that you can play in, all right, so without even having to touch the ground. So I play in that area where all I do is tell people how about agribusiness. One thing for sure is that people always, when you talk about agriculture, they just think it's agriculture, but there is the value chain in agriculture, you know. So I play in the circle of the agribusiness where I teach people what to do, how to do it, and where to go, right?
And how to make the money.
And how to make the money, right? Mm-hmm. Because now we have things we call agricultural tourism. Mm-hmm. People are just playing in that space and they are just making money. We don't want to even begin to dive into that because
tell us a bit of that agricultural tourism.
Okay, agricultural tourism is like, okay, let's take, you know what tourism is. You know, if I decide to go into tourism in Nigeria, I look for locations, places I want to take people to. We have the Ayade man who's built the big rice factory in Calabar. I want to take people there. You know, we have a lot of farms, Obasanjo farm. We want to take people there. We want to get them to relax in the agricultural environment and take a ride through the farm and see what is possible. Because, you know, agriculture was our first baby. For some reason, we forgot. The oil came, took over. And when we went to school, you come out thinking about working in a bank, working in the insurance, working in all these beautiful places with blue collar, right? But suddenly, we realized that we have gone far behind where the world is now coming to Nigeria to take what we produce here, add value to it, and bring it back for us to eat.
Very unfortunate.
It's annoying. You understand? So suddenly the government is saying, let's get into agriculture. Now, what they didn't realize is that the oil has eaten half of the Nigerian man's mind. So they forgot to tell you about agriculture. They don't know what to do, where to go, how to go about it. All right? So this is where we come in. We try to tell people, look, it's not just going to the farm. Because today, even with the insecurity in Nigeria, people don't want to go to the farm. The farmers are even afraid to go to the farm because they don't want to get killed. So right now we're saying, creating more awareness in the urban areas where you can use your compound as a farm.
For those who have compounds.
For those who have compounds, right? Okay, where you can use your garden, where you can use even in your house. There are things you grow even inside your room. People do not understand this. So we give out this information. But my focus right now, really, in agriculture is the mushroom cultivation. Okay, we're going to get to that.
We'll get to that. I just needed to establish your type of farming, which you have tried to explain.
Yeah.
So let's look at how technology has changed farming in the 21st century. Because as I started, I told you about my mother, and during the time they didn't have mechanized farming, so they had to bend and till and all of that. How has technology change all of that today in Nigeria? I'm not talking about the West, but
I was
Nigeria.
just going to ask you, in Nigeria, you mean? Yes, okay, well, technology has played a very huge role, but we are not even close at all. We're not close. When we talk about technology in farming, we're not close. the farmers in Nigeria needs to enjoy what we call mechanized farming. And this agricultural equipment doesn't go round in Nigeria. The farmers are still lagging behind.
Why?
Before we got on set, I was just telling you, when we talked about, you asked a question, I can't remember the question that you asked, and I said, because there is no transportation in the agricultural space. There's something we call agricultural transportation, logistics.
Yeah.
Agricultural logistics. That's a business for someone, which is part of what I teach people. What do farmers really lack in Nigeria? Farmers lack good road network. Farmers lack transportation. Farmers lack coal system. And without these things, we're talking about technology, the farming will not work.
Talking about the cool system, you're talking about preservation, right?
Yes, preservation.
Because we suffer situations in this part of the world where once any fruit is out of season, it's gone.
Yes, you were talking about organic. You were talking about the
organic versus
food
GMO.
Getting spoiled. That was the discussion we had.
Yeah.
And I was telling you, why would food not get spoiled? We don't have enough transportation, agricultural logistics. We do not have it in Nigeria. People need to know that they should invest, because oftentimes people come to me and say, what should I do? I have money, I want to do agric. I say, do you want to go to the farm? Oh, no, I really don't want to go to the farm. Oh, I do agricultural logistics. Go and rent vehicles, lease vehicles, or buy vehicles. And farmers need these vehicles to bring their produce from the farm to the market, right? And we don't have enough. And I just told you, I said, if a farmer harvests ugu, for instance, or vegetables, for instance, which are actually perishable produce, right?
Yeah.
And you harvest in the morning, and in that village where you harvest, maybe only 2 people have pickup to come and pick fruits, and they are already engaged with other farmers, meaning that you don't have transport for that money to get your vegetables to the farm fresh, right? Yeah. So by the time the pickup comes, you get to the market, it's near evening, all right? And the produce would have, I don't know.
Lost.
Yes, the taste,
freshness.
The nutrients. Yes, you talked about the nutrients.
No, I was going to ask you much later how farmers sell their products here in Nigeria and how they export. Yeah. But I think because of the point where you are right now, this is a good time to bring it in. How do Nigerian farmers sell their products in Nigeria, and how do they export them?
Let me first talk about how they sell, and before we talk about exports, because I just came back from a trip, Maureen. In all the shops, grocery shops I went, I saw food, I saw produce from Africa, but not for Nigeria. Okay, so let's talk about how they sell. How they sell? They sell by taking them to the markets, right? Because again, we don't have the storage facilities for common farmers to store their food. So farmers take their produce from the farm.
All of it at once.
Yes, to the market. And then when they get to the market, you also have the people they call the middlemen. All right? And I'm going to talk about that later, in this conversation. The middlemen. The farmers will sell. Farmers in Nigeria are termed the poorest. When in the world, it's not like that.
They're supposed to be among the rich
farmers
people.
Are supposed to be what do you mean they're supposed to be amongst the rich people? Farmers are supposed to be rich. If you produce food for 200 million people in Nigeria, you are a rich person. But unfortunately, our farmers in Nigeria, that word, farmers are poor, has even gotten into the farmers' head themselves. You understand what I mean? Of course, now, it's changing now because the big boys who probably got retrenched from ExxonMobil, all these people with Jeep going to the farm. We now have all these people. But how many of those people do we have? We have still the common farmers, and all that. So farmers take their produce from the market, from the farm to the market, to sell in the market. Sometimes, maybe the market people will go to the farm gate to buy the produce. And then you see, the difference is when they go to the farm gate to price, the price is different. It's lower. When the farmer takes the produce to the farm, the price is higher. Though the middlemen are there. The transportation cost is there. There's a whole lot of things that has kept the farmers poor. So how they sell their produce is take it to the market. What other way would they sell their produce?
And so what about taking it abroad? How do they do that? Who are those involved?
Well, I don't know really, because the Nigerian, I said to you earlier before we got on board that we are not as serious as we talk.
So talk is cheap.
Talk is very cheap, because the Nigerian government should be forward-thinking and forward-looking. Because a government who a couple of years ago said we should get into agriculture, by now should have done something about the export of produce from Nigeria. Now, it beats my heart each time I go to shops in Europe and I can't find Nigerian produce on the shelf. All right? I saw beans, I saw yams from Ghana, I saw all kinds of produce. They are from Ghana, from Ivory Coast, from all kinds of places.
So you're telling me that
and
all those African shops will find abroad?
I can't
None
find
of
Nigeria.
the products there are from Nigeria.
The produce you will get abroad that is from Nigeria are actually kind of smuggled in. It's not in large quantity, because do you know that quite recently they banned a lot of produce from Nigeria?
Yeah, I read that.
How come
because
the
of
Nigerian
chemical?
Yes.
In the yam, I remember one that has to do with the yam.
It's not just about chemical, it's the handling. Okay. Best practice.
Okay.
You understand? It's not just about that. We don't meet the standard.
And so that brings the question, or begs the question, the regulatory agencies, do we have that, who regulate to see and assist these farmers to package their things properly, to handle these things properly?
Well, we have. They are doing what they can do, but it's not really effective. Because if it's effective, I would see Nigerian produce on the shelf of Auchan in Paris. Okay? I did not see no... And each produce you buy, if you go to Auchan in Paris, you see carton, they put it there, Kenya. They put it there, Ivory Coast. They put it there, Ghana. They put it... I see the countries, but Nigeria is not there.
Nigeria.
How come? Just recently, while I was in France, we bought pineapple for €5 and some cents. As at that time, euro was 800 and something. So if you do a calculation for €5, let's just say €6, right? For one pineapple that is not as big as the smooth cayenne that we have in Nigeria. It's €6. €6 by 800 is what? For one pineapple. And that pineapple is not from Nigeria. It's from somewhere in South America, in France.
You know, someone like you who is involved in the value chain, and seeing all these challenges that farmers, local farmers are facing, because their interest should be of utmost importance to every one of us, and most importantly to the government. Is there anything the Ministry of Agriculture is doing, from your understanding and probably your communication with them, to help these local farmers in any way?
Well, they say they are doing things, but I still say we are not doing enough. Because if we are doing enough, it will show. You will see it. I will see Nigerian produce everywhere. If it's not in the world, if it's not there, believe me, we are not doing enough. How can they ban fish? How can they ban this? How can they ban that? So many things that they ban from Nigeria. Why? It should be a big worry to the Nigerian government or to the regulatory bodies.
If they exist. All right, that also brings me to the point where I ask, what do we import?
Oh, no. We import a lot of things. I mean
virtually almost everything.
Oh, yeah.
Are they all checked? Because I was discussing with some nutritionists some time ago, and they told me that most of the fruits and vegetables we eat in Nigeria have lost their nutrients because of fertilizer and pesticides. How true is this? If it is true, how worried should we be?
Because we haven't really embraced organic growing and organic living, organic
in this part of the world,
in this Nigeria.
Organic, we haven't embraced organic in Nigeria.
Worrying. If we have, it's just a little. I keep saying.
What happened?
I don't know. We don't know. I'm just saying to you right now that in the world, everybody is tending towards organic, healthy eating, healthy growing, and all of that. Now, who is regulating it in Nigeria? Why do we still use chemical fertilizer in the foods that we eat? Why would the food not lose nutrients? If the farmers cannot get access to liquid organic fertilizer or whatever organic fertilizer, if they don't have access to it, then we use what is available. Right? Okay, so why would the produce not lose its nutrient? Again, I also say to you, the problem again is that even if you grow organically, you still have to get the food to the store. You still have to get it to the market. All right? Mm-hmm. And if we don't have enough transportation, we don't have all these things, there's no how we will not lose our food. You know, there's a huge post-harvest losses. You know that. The farmers take their produce to the farm because there is no storage. The farmers doesn't really have to be at the mercy of anybody, mm-hmm. or have to sell their fruits off when the evening comes, mm-hmm. because there's hope for cold chain or cool system. But it's not popular. We don't have it.
We don't have it. And so that's why when mango is out of season, we don't have mangoes.
You can't have mangoes.
But ordinarily, we should have mango throughout the year, as we find in other parts of the world.
And when the farmer takes the produce to the farm, to the market, and he or she can sell it, they take it back to the cold store. They don't have to sell it.
Yeah.
Do you know some people have formed the habit of going to the farm market in the evenings? Because they know that's when the farmers will sell off their things. Because they can't. Where are they taking it to? If they bring it back tomorrow, then it has lost its nutrients.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
This is really sad.
It's sad, Maureen. It's sad. Because the farmer goes to the farm and till the ground, grow, and all of that, at the end of the day, to be priced for nothing. Or sell off. All right? Mm-hmm. It's sad. Government should really do something about that. This is why, again, I just use the word government. I don't want to focus much more on government. Government have so much on their table. The government have tried by saying, let us get back to agriculture. One thing I love about Nigeria is that the Nigerian government does not have an idea of what they are good. They just come up with something, and only the smart people can benefit from that thing that the government comes from. Because government does not even have an idea.
Meaning that we may not be having the right people in the offices that they occupy.
Yeah. Because if the government have an idea of what agriculture truly is, they will be playing like the other countries in the world. Nigeria can feed the world. A Nigerian government who is forward-thinking, forward-looking should know that. And we should capitalize on that.
You know, since I was a little girl, I've heard how that Nigerian farmers lack storage. And how that the reason why we only eat mangoes in this part of the world during mango season is because the Nigerian farmer lacks storage.
When you were a child, right?
When I was a little girl.
The story changing?
Unlike
has
the counterpart, it hasn't changed. Their counterparts outside of this part of the world have storages where they store fruits and vegetables, and so nothing is out of season. And we're still here, 2023.
I want to share a little experience I had with you. Mm. And I think the Nigerian government, again, forward thinking, should know that having storage and cooling system for our produce is what can give us the sustainability that we're looking for. A couple of years ago, let's say, to be precise, 2018, I was in Tucson in Arizona. Mm. I was on a 2-week agricultural trip. Mm-hmm. And my itinerary was loaded because I visited different agricultural bodies. All right? Mm-hmm. I visited factories, value chain, people who do value chain in agriculture. Mm-hmm. I visited. I went to the Mexico War, the wall, the much talked about Mexico War. Mm-hmm. And I stood there for 15 minutes because they told me I should come and see how the produce that comes out of Mexico gets into America. It was quite interesting. So I got to the wall, and I stood there. I saw trucks coming in from Mexico. It's a border, mm-hmm. right? Now, that's the border of Nogales, right? So I visited, we talked about the middlemen in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. They are in the market. But in Nogales, in the border of Mexico, I visited an association called Produce Brokers Association. Mm. All women.
All women. Produce Brokers Association.
It was all women. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Produce Brokers Association. Do we even have that in Nigeria? No. Now, let's put that aside. I saw how trucks were coming in. Believe me, in 15 minutes, I stood there, I saw a long chain of trucks waiting to go through the border to get into America. And you know, the interesting thing is, they don't get into America. They get to the border of America, between Mexico and America. There is a border they call the Nogales border.
What happens there?
The Nogales border is like between Lagos stretch and Ogun stretch, right? Lagos Ogun stretch, yeah? That's how it is. On the one hand of Nogales, you can check this out on the internet. On the one hand of Nogales is a long chain of cold facilities.
Cold rooms.
Cold rooms. So I visited the president of the Association of Cold Chain Owners. I sat there with them and we talked. And they told me how they started this. Some of them are family businesses that they started years back. So they serve, the border of Nogales serves as a distribution center. Right. So the trucks comes from Mexico. They take the produce off the trucks and they distribute to America. I don't know if you get what I mean.
I'm getting you.
So,
and that makes me, that will make me ask you, how do we replicate that here? And how do you, as a consultant, encourage investors to do that?
It's simple. You know, I was even telling them, because it was so beautiful what I saw. And I was like, would they come to Nigeria? And believe me,
do we need them to come and do that for us?
Well, you know,
Bridget?
sometimes, you know, people have to set the pace for you. In Nigeria, sometimes we just, I don't know. Anyway, let me not go into that. All right?
It's frustrating.
It is really frustrating. And then, while I was sitting with the president of Storage Facility Owners Association, the guy pressed his computer and he says, you have 2 seaports in Nigeria. One is the Tinkan and the other one. They gave me the name while I was sitting there.
Yeah.
And then they started thinking, like, okay, Nigeria. You know, because, you know, when I'm outside of the country, I love my country so much that when I'm outside Nigeria, yes, we have all these issues. I am also looking at a way people can come into this country to help us, really, if the government is not looking for help in that direction. All right? And they were also thinking, I could see them thinking that, oh, would Nigeria be one of where they want to go? Right? But let's not deviate from what we're saying. You just asked a question.
Yeah.
How can we encourage investors?
Yeah.
Yeah? We are encouraging investors every day, every time. Do it. We have the land to do it. One of the facility I entered, one of those facilities I entered, was built with $250,000. Independent from National Grid.
I tell you now, we have Nigerians who can do this.
It was all solar. No NEPA. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So, and we have one Nigeria who can build one facility like that. I have the pictures and the videos, everything.
All right. How did you get into farming, Bridget? How did you get into this?
Oh, well, okay. Yeah, how did I get into farming?
Yes.
My father worked in the Nigerian water resources.
Yeah.
And then ended up being a farmer before he died, right? My mom was a serial entrepreneur. Don't ask me where I learned it from. I learned it from my mom because I sold everything when I was young, right? So, and my mom became a farmer. And, you know, actually when I was young, I didn't like farm. I didn't like to go to farm. I know we ate food from the farm. We ate fresh from the farm. Everything we ate from the farm. And that's why I'm going to talk to you about how I got into mushroom cultivation, you know, and all that. You know, but we ate everything from the farm. But I saw my mom, even at her age, it was just quite recently we said, Mom, don't go to the farm anymore. She's 93 now. And
93?
Then, yeah, and before 93, she was still going to the farm.
They're always very strong.
And then she comes to Lagos, she brings fufu, and she says, I want to go to the farm and uproot cassava. She was still growing cassava. So anyway, let's just say I got encouraged by my mom, by my dad, because when I see my dad then, we had this, I don't know how they call it now, you know, the band, they call it the yam band. You know,
my father was a farmer
Yeah,
too.
my father, we used to have this band that we never had to go to the market to buy to buy yam. You know, so I started getting back into agriculture. Actually, the interest finally came when they said, get back to agriculture. Before then, I travel a lot. I had visited events. I love agricultural events. Okay. You know, so I got ideas. I got so many things. And I know that there's something that is missing in Nigeria, especially with the youth.
You just hit a nerve. The youth, there's this unemployment challenge in the country. And in spite of all these opportunities that can be found in agriculture, the youth are not interested. How do we change this narrative?
Agriculture has to be sexy. It has to be sexy. You have to get the youth off the street, or off the schools, or whatever. You need to make agriculture attractive and sexy. All right? Because why would we talk about mechanized farming? The world is gone like what, 100% past where we are right now. And you see, I attended November in Germany, the world's biggest agricultural mechanized event, agricultural machinery event, which is an event that I take people to every year, right? So this time I was there. Maureen, you will not believe what you see there. They have days for students, for youths, you know. You will see youths in agriculture, you'll be like, are these really farmers? You will see them talking, you will see them, look.
And in all these your travels, have you come across Nigerian officials doing anything, learning anything? And, you know.
Maureen, don't let me tell you about that. Because every time this event comes up, we write to all states, governments, because we think that, okay, they've been traveling abroad, but they don't really bring things back. Because you see the Nigerian government, the Nigerian leaders, sometimes you ask, I just wonder what they go to do abroad. Maybe they shouldn't even go abroad. Because I, as a common Nigerian, I feel pains in my heart when I go abroad and see things that could be replicated in Nigeria and it's not done. Right? I feel pain. So what about these leaders? What do they look at when they go abroad? The way I talk about Nigeria abroad, sometimes they ask me if I work for the federal government. The way I promote Nigerian agriculture, the way I talk about Nigeria, they all ask me, do you work for the government? No, I use my money to buy my ticket and come to this place. Just because I'm looking for opportunity that I can use to improve myself and improve.
So how can the youth be attracted?
The youth needs to be attracted because government needs to make it attractive. Because mechanization is key to agriculture. The youth won't come and want to go to the farm and start to dig holes like ground my father did it. They don't want to do it. And you know the youth of these days, they like the fast ways to make money. But you see, they are intelligent. That's why government need to harness, need to harvest their
energy, their strength.
Yeah, their strength, their energy, their intelligence, and convert it.
And away from the youth, what about someone who's just retiring from a civil service or whatever, who just wants to invest or wants to, you know, look for something to do with him or herself for the rest of his or her life? What would you advise that person right now?
I just advise retirement is not retired. Okay? When they retire, I would expect that they have saved up a little money. All right? I don't know. They have saved up a little money. You can invest in agriculture without going to the farm. Because there are people in Nigeria that are still doing well in agriculture. There are groups, there are associations, there are people you can give your money. Agriculture is the petrodollar. One of my guests from the US said that to me. Say agriculture is a petrodollar. It's the next big thing. Come on, Maureen. It's the next big thing.
It is.
Everybody in the world eats.
It really should be the big thing because everybody, like you said, food always sells.
Yes.
People must eat.
If we don't eat, we'll die.
As we say, man must work. So what are we not benefiting from
it?
The government needs to wake up.
Yes.
It's a clarion call, Nigerians. We need to really begin to hold our people more accountable. It's not enough to talk about this on radio and television alone and write, you know, on the daily papers. We need to really hold our so-called representatives accountable. Do they know what they're doing? Are they really representing us or are they representing themselves? These are questions we need urgent answers to. Well, thank you so much, Bridget.
Thank you.
It's been I wish we had more time. I wish we had more time.
There's never enough time.
You need to come again. You need to come again. Bridget Okonofua has been my guest on One-on-One today. It's been a very beautiful time with her, and time is just not enough for us to exhaust all that needs to be discussed regarding agriculture. I am Maureen Menonwezugu. Many thanks for your time. Join us next time. Bye.